My name is Chrishia Odette. I'm here on behalf of the AVIC group for Texas region. It's advocates of victims of illegal immigration crime. September 12th, 2014, I was just talking about earlier, I let my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter Chrishia, spend the night at a friend's house. The friend's mom allowed her and her daughter and my daughter to walk to the grocery store to buy some soda pop. On the way, my daughter and her crossed the street at a non-crosswalk and dropped her cell phone. She ran back in the road to grab her cell phone. The side of the traffic that she was on was able to stop. They slammed on their brakes and stopped about 20 feet short of her. The opposite side of the road was a man driving a truck. It was a white 2004 Nissan Titan. He had been in the country for 15 years illegally. He had no license. The night he killed my daughter, he had 2 warrants. One was for driving without a license, and one was for speeding. They were 4 years old. He hit my daughter, and he killed her. When I got to the emergency room, they told me that they believed that she died instantly. But as I said earlier, her death certificate said that she took minutes to die. She's died from severe head and neck trauma. Part of her head was basically crushed in. When they arrested him, he didn't run, he didn't flee, he just pulled over and he stopped. When they arrested him, they took him to jail. They gave him a blood and urine test to test for drugs and alcohol. According to the county arrest records, he was booked in at 1 a.m. He was released at 1:36 a.m. for his bonds. Because he didn't commit a violent felony, as they put it, they didn't charge him with any crimes. They didn't report him to immigration. I had to push the issue with my lawyers to get it to go to a grand jury to even consider charging him with anything beyond giving a ticket. But the grand jury, as I was told, said that because he had no drugs or alcohol in his system, there was no proof of negligence in his ability to operate the truck that he was driving. Therefore, he wouldn't be charged with any felonies. The city said that unless you commit a violent felony, they weren't in the habit of checking someone's citizenship status, even though they already knew that he was in the country illegally. So they didn't report him to immigration. That's what a sanctuary city is. It took 2 years of fighting, and I finally chose to settle out of court with my lawyer from the accident I had trying to get to my daughter before I was allowed to speak out. I started writing politicians trying to get someone to get involved and help me find some sort of justice for my little girl. Congressman Michael Burgess from my district was the only one that responded. I met with him at his office, and he opened a congressional inquiry. Contacted DHS and wanted to know why they didn't go after this man. And they told him, as I told the congressman, they were never notified of the incident. So they arrested him on January 8th, 2016 for his immigration status. I was contacted and told that he was considered a flight risk and said they had requested he not be given bail. And his warrant came from DHS headquarters here in D.C. So I spent all of 2016, 2017 understanding that he was in jail. Then I found out last year that that wasn't the case. Apparently someone decided, the federal judge in Dallas decided that it wasn't necessary to hold him, even though he was stated as a flight risk, and it gave him bail, and he was bonded out a month after he was arrested. He also got a letter at the beginning of September last year telling him that he had 30 days to turn himself in, that he'd lost his immigration battle. At the end of that 30 days, they sent him a letter and said they misspelled his name, so they had an additional 30 days to turn himself in. He didn't turn himself in, so they went to arrest him at the end of October, and they found that he was gone. He ran with his illegal wife. So now he's a fugitive somewhere in the U.S. ICE is actively looking for him, and as they explained to me, they're overwhelmed with the amount of illegals they have to find. They're undermanned. So essentially, he has to commit a crime again in an unsympathetic city to be captured, just to be deported. Doesn't count the fact that he's never been charged with killing my daughter. My daughter would have turned 18 On the 12th of February, she never got to graduate high school. She was extremely gifted. She had just started high school when she was 13. She didn't get to go to college like she wanted. I didn't get to help her finish learning how to drive. I'm never going to see my grandchildren. I'm never going to get to enjoy watching her get married. The permanent separation that I have to endure. The lack of justice for my daughter's death. I cannot comprehend how anyone can say it's unfair to separate a person who negligently brings their child across the border into the U.S. illegally through deserts, harming their family members, and then complains about being separated because of due process. I am living proof of what permanent separation is. Not some illegal who brings our kids irresponsibly here. The argument about building a wall. I spent 12 years in the military, and my first job was combat engineer. Combat engineer's job is mobility, counter-mobility. And placing mines, clearing minefields, forces the enemy to go the direction you want them to go, or waste time trying to clear an area so you can actually capture them. Wall is no different. If you build a wall, then the person trying to cross has to waste time trying to get over that wall, or go under that wall, or go around that wall. And that gives us more time to put resources in the area to capture them. If they choose to go around the wall, it funnels them into an area where we can actually capture them effectively. I find it really weird that the government can tell our president that he can't have the money he asked for to build a wall, but yet they're willing to give money to other countries to help them to better their development. People want to come here and claim asylum. I don't understand why they can't use the asylum claims at the embassies in their own country. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that the illegals have more privacy and protection in our country than we do as citizens. I'm not allowed to know the federal ID number that an illegal alien killing my daughter is issued because he has privacy. You can't do anything other than know their name and know the status of where they are being processed in immigration. But I can't know that. It makes no sense to me that we have politicians that have spent their careers, 30, 40 years, 20 years, solely building and protecting illegals, while we have American citizens that are being killed by illegals. And there's no protection for that. The argument about there being less crime by illegal aliens is false on its head, because the crimes aren't being reported. If they're reported, then they actually have to report them to immigration. If you commit a felony, you have to go into a database. In that database, they get flagged. They're here illegally. So you think about what was put out in the news, what President Trump talked about earlier this month, about 4,000 people being killed, U.S. citizens being killed by illegal aliens. They're sitting in a federal jail. That's 4,000 people that they know of being charged with a crime. That doesn't count all the American citizens like my daughter that was killed by an illegal alien and never charged. So that number is much bigger. The crime rate by illegals in the country is much bigger. When you come to this country, you have to patriate. You have to learn the language, you have to learn the laws, understand the Constitution and American history. So you have more invested in being here and following the laws. When you come here illegally, you have no reason to know any of that stuff. You don't follow it, you don't learn the language, you don't become a part of the society. As a result, you have no care about the laws. You come here illegally, you've already committed one crime coming here illegally. To get around, you either have to drive a vehicle or you have to get someone to carry you around. Driving a vehicle, you're committing another crime. And then you take the chance on killing somebody driving that vehicle that you're not licensed for. The laws need to be enforced. Immigration law states that if you're caught here in the U.S. illegally, the first offense is to be a fine or possible deportation. Multiple offenses mean you get deported. But it also states that if you're here illegally and you kill or severely injure a U.S. citizen, you're supposed to be held in jail for an undetermined amount of time. You're also supposed to have your property taken from you. The guy that killed my daughter had the vehicle he drove that he killed my daughter with, not even a month after my daughter's death. He already had it in his possession. They knew he wasn't legally allowed to have the vehicle. He had no license for it. They told me that the night of the accident that he told the police that he was borrowing the vehicle going to a soccer game. 2 months later, they tell me that they basically know he owned the truck, but because he didn't have a license, he couldn't put it in his name. But nobody charged the guy that supposedly sold him the vehicle a year before. They didn't charge him for aiding him. And he still ended up with the vehicle again, committing the same damn crime all over again, driving without a license. I had a surgery right after my daughter's funeral. While I was laying in bed trying to recover from that surgery, my sister took the accident report and drove over to the house, the address showing where he was living. What she found, she took a picture of that truck, and that picture happened to show a bump, or a dent on the bumper. That dent matched the bruise that was on my daughter's body as she was being taken in for her cremation. He was working on that truck to drive it again after killing my daughter. The prosecutors knew. I told them that he was driving that vehicle again, and they told me they had to catch him in the act. He's committed a crime. They don't charge him with a felony. They don't report him to immigration. They don't do anything about it. That is a sanctuary city. In my job, I travel all over the U.S., and it blows my mind how I keep hearing from people saying, "Oh, I've never heard of a sanctuary city." How do you not know what a sanctuary city is? How do you not hear? And the crazy part is, you find that a lot in Oregon, Washington, California. I don't understand how you can't know what that is. Laws have to be enforced. And if the laws can't be enforced, then there need to be laws written to enforce them. This wall needs to be built. Government has ways of funding stuff. Speaker Pelosi said walls are immoral, and then votes yes for a bill to give the president $1.3 billion. So either she's confused or she's a liar. She lives in a house that has walls around it, but walls are immoral in her opinion. I asked Breitbart News when I tried catching her, and I've sent her Twitter messages asking her to talk to me. I want to know if walls are immoral, if she's willing to tear down her own walls around her house. I want to know if she wants to put in legislation to tear down the walls that are currently existing. It doesn't make any sense. How are they immoral? Her family's protected. She's not trying to keep anybody out any different than she is trying to protect her own family. She voted years and years and years adding more and more money to build walls, but as soon as this president, the only president that's had the fortitude to take this head on, suddenly they're immoral. This President Trump, when he announced his inauguration, he was running for president, made me cry because I was in an airport and I'm hearing about this and I'm facing my daughter's death and no justice for her death. When he got elected and he had his inaugural speech, I cried again because he's the first president that I've heard in my lifetime speak as openly about his faith in God for this country. I can't remember ever hearing any other president talk about it. The previous president, within the first year of his office, chose to stop having fighter jet aircraft fly over a parade because he was concerned about how it would look. National Prayer Breakfast is concerned about the way it would look if he was there for Christians. He didn't want to seem like he was taking sides in faith. This president has taken a stand on faith. He's taken a stand on life. He's taken a stand on borders. He's taken a stand on fixing our financial system. This is the only president that I've seen in my lifetime that has actually done everything he said he has. I don't think I've ever seen a president that has taken more heat and more negative press than this president, and he does everything he says he's going to do, while you get these poor politicians that are complaining about him doing what he says he's going to do. This country needs a whole lot of prayer. This country was made because of God. This president needs prayer because he has so many corrupt and bad people that are doing everything to tear him down. Good point about Kamala Harris and about Cory Booker. These people will say anything that they can because it's politically efficient to get what they want. But they don't really care about the people. They don't care about the citizens. If you listen to Cory Booker, you'd swear he's actually running for some sort of movie. He's trying to get into a movie so he can give these amazing speeches. But it's just flapping his teeth, air passing his mouth. Doesn't mean anything. Kamala Harris, she's another charlatan. Everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie. Nancy Pelosi doesn't even have the fortitude to look angel families in the face and talk to us. She won't do it. But she doesn't mind welcoming illegals.
That's right.
State of the Union, I read that there was 20 illegals that were invited to participate in the State of the Union address.
Should have been deported immediately.
When I came here to go to the State of the Union address, Congressman Michael Burgess had me as his guest. I had to give either my Social Security number or the number to my U.S. passport to be here. I had to show photo ID, give the name and place of my birth, and the date of my birth. So if you could bring an illegal alien into the Capitol, how did they not get arrested? The laws have to be enforced, regardless of whether you're a guest of a politician or you're a guest of someone else. If you're here on a visa overstay, get the hell out. Go to jail or get the hell out. If you come here illegally, you're telling every legal person that's came here and migrated here legally, you're telling them that what you did didn't matter. Why are you going to spend thousands of dollars paying some coyote or paying a drug cartel to bring you into the country when you could have simply used that money and followed the normal process? Anyone who comes here illegally, they don't really care about this country. To say that they're coming here for a better way of life, they're lying. They're not coming here for a better way of life. They're coming here for an easier way of life. We shouldn't have people living on the street homeless. We shouldn't have people suffering and going without food, while we've got illegal aliens being given all of the social benefits they're given at our taxpayer dollars. I don't understand why, if the government can take money out of my check each week, why I can't say where that money gets spent. Makes no sense. It's not fair. The only way you're going to get rid of these politicians that don't do anything is vote them out. Educate yourself. Don't vote party line, but educate yourself and follow what the politician's doing. Because this immigration problem, this wall, it's not a Democrat or Republican problem. It is both party sides. You've got rhinos and you've got lying Democrats. You have to talk to your politicians, get involved, and push them to do what's right. Ocasio-Cortez talks about people giving her a hard time about being factually correct, more to be morally correct. This is just as moral as is factual about what's happening. American citizens should not have to take a backseat to an illegal alien committing a crime just because they don't want to have to report them. My daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, she should have been with me. I should have been able to celebrate her birthday. I cannot begin to express to you how hard and confusing it was in my head and my heart, knowing that I couldn't celebrate her 18th birthday with her. I couldn't call her and say, "Hey kiddo, happy birthday, I love you." I couldn't send her a card, have a birthday cake with her. I can't have any of that. I can't have the time back. I put 12 years of my life in the military, and I'm damn proud of it. But I can't say that I wouldn't give anything to turn that away, just to have the time with her if I knew I was going to lose her anyway. We need our laws enforced, and we need justice for all angel families. The names that I know of, just the names that I know of, Dominic Durden, he was killed by an illegal alien. You've got Pierce Corcoran, killed by an illegal alien. In Pierce's case, the guy that killed him was just like the guy that killed my daughter. He'd been in the country for years. It doesn't make any sense. You've got a man that kills a woman in California because he picks up a gun and it just miraculously goes off. How does a gun just miraculously go off? Brandon Mendoza. The names, it's hard to keep track of everybody because you just keep hearing about more and more of them. But you damn sure hear very quickly about a child being brought across the border illegally and dying in ICE custody because they're trying to save the child. And politicians think, we need to look into this. Well, Mr. Harris, or Miss Harris, Mr. Booker, Miss Pelosi, why were you not that concerned and why weren't you at my daughter's funeral?
That's right.
Do we matter? Do we not matter? You want our money from our taxes. Support us, or vote them all out. All I want is justice for my daughter, justice for Chrishia, justice for all angel families. Thank you.
We're here for you.